Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, David, welcome back.
Thank you.
Today is my favorite day.
Yes, it is.
We've been away for a little bit, but
I'm going to take my watch off.
You're going to take your watch off?
Yep.
Okay, all right. You're going to time us?
I am.
Okay, cool. See how close you are to Alex.
Well, and I'm also banging my...
Yeah, I know. But we're going to talk about self-care today because
we didn't take care of ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't take care of ourselves.
You guys ever been there before? Yeah, we both of us had a rough week, and it was basically because we weren't taking care of ourselves. So we want to talk about that. There's general things that we need to do to take care of ourselves, and then we'll get to where we weren't doing it. So let's just talk about some general things. Let's go spiritually. What ways should we do self-care for that?
And for me, spiritually, is I have my quiet time in the morning, and I have prayer time that I do. I do meditation. I get into the Word, and I take all that. And that's why I get up as early as I do.
Right.
So I have a quiet time and nobody bothers me except the dog.
So you're taking care of your spiritual life.
My spiritual life.
Yeah.
And
on that side of things.
Yeah.
I know on the physical side, for me, it's about getting my workouts in. So I do my quiet time and then get my workouts in, usually with Tanya, and go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. And then I do all these little midsection exercises and that kind of thing. That's another thing we can do. As far as eating goes, obviously eating right is another thing to make sure you're watching your eating habits and stuff.
Yeah, we both struggle with that.
Yeah, because sometimes I know for me, sugar is a big addictive thing I always have to watch out for, because if I do that, I could get sick from it. I know that you struggle with that too. So
I do. I have to watch my eating. I could very easily become a compulsive eater.
Oh, really? Okay.
I do at times stress eat, but I'm so much aware of it because of the addiction stuff that I went through that I can usually back off right away.
Yeah, compulsive eating's hard because that brings comfort, just like any kind of drug or alcohol. Well, the thing that at least for me, the thing I did not do and I did not take care of myself on, and there was not self-care, was my sleep.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to run 100 miles an hour, and I also caught a cold. You guys, we had colds here. I'm still kind of getting over it, but caught a cold, and I had a hard time sleeping. So I was sleeping maybe 4 hours a night, and then I said, okay, while I'm up, I might as well work. So I was working on my computer and doing that kind of stuff. And then what it did is it caught up with me and really got me sick. And you saw what happened yesterday.
Absolutely.
I came back to the office to try to, I'm ready to go. Let's get going. I don't have a fever anymore, but it's still congested. But I could do this work. So I just started going, and I happened to see you, and I go, hey, man, I'm going to work on stuff over at the other building. Went over there, and within 15 minutes or so, I suddenly just got really queasy, dizzy, laid down for a little bit, went, what is going on? Got more queasy, and so I went over to the office and said, I'm just going to lay down for a little bit. No, it was done. I was done. I went home and slept out of a 24-hour period, 16 hours. And my body just had broken down because I wasn't taking care of myself. So yes, I was eating right. I was actually eating right. I was actually exercising. I was doing the things I was supposed to do. I just was not getting the sleep I needed, and it ran me into the ground.
It does. Sleep will heal you. You know, it's a healing process also, and we forget about that, and we burn the candle at both ends, and you get going, and you go. So and I know that feeling, and for me, this is vital. The hydration,
the water,
you know, and so I constantly, I have a couple of different metrics that I use. First thing's my watch. People say, or my ring. People say, why are you playing with your ring?
Oh.
If that doesn't come off, I'm retaining water.
Oh.
And so, but that's why I do that.
That's right, because all the health issues you're dealing with.
The health issues. If that slips right off like it's doing now, then I'm probably good.
Okay.
And on the other hand, this last week, I didn't do that so much.
Just because work was going?
Work was going. I had a couple of seminars. I'm digging into this, to AI, the artificial intelligence when it comes to writing emails and things like that. And it's really very interesting. But if I don't continue to work my mind like that, then I slip up. I not slip up. What the word is?
Well, we're both getting older, so we have
I start drawing blanks too often and stuff like that. And so the more
exercise the brain.
I have to exercise the brain. And so, but I took that to the extreme in that I probably should have just listened to the recording the next day rather than stay up and go through that live seminar, which was probably recorded.
You were also talking something I thought was very interesting. You were working, just going at it, and you said, I probably should have stopped and went on a walk. Why? Why did you say that?
I think if you can do that, if you're just go, and you don't take a break, your mind starts clogging. You got everything going. So for me, if I can just stop, I can do a couple of different things. Number one, I get out of my office. I go either, I have a chair in our main room. I can sit for a few minutes or go outside, get some sun, get a walk in, even if it's just around the block, because you get the fresh air, you get reinvigorated,
kind of
and you get recharge of the brain. And, that's why a lot of businesses, you work in an office, you work for a couple hours, you have a 10-minute break. Work for a couple hours, you have lunch. Work a couple hours, you have a 10, 15-minute break in the afternoon. And wise managers, wise business people will enforce the break policy. Go outside. Now, over the years, the going outside has turned into a smoke break, but we don't want to do that. That's not a good
health thing. Yeah.
But to go outside, get some sun. And my granddaughter just switched jobs, and she's found that going outside is just like refreshing, and I'm glad she learned something in her first week over there. But, but the thing is that it just recharges you. And, I work a lot on a computer, and I don't type very fast, and I make mistakes. And I can tell the longer in the day I go without taking a break, the more mistakes I make. And it just takes me longer to get the project done.
Yeah, I know that when I'm writing, to get up, every half an hour, maybe even 15 minutes, just to get up to stretch. And it only takes just a couple of seconds. I mean, literally maybe 30 seconds, and then I'm back typing again. Right. Creativity pops up.
Yeah. And that's and everybody gets motivated and creative in different things. But if you were to ignore that prompting to stand up and to stretch and stuff like that, then the mind fogs. And
I find that I have a little weight set in my office. It's a small kind of Bowflex weight set that you can change the poundage on it from 5 pounds to 55 pounds on both dumbbells. And I use those, and I do push-ups. I have these little push-up kind of things I use in my office. So what I'll do is I'll make a list. If I know I'm not going to be able to get to the gym, let's say that the week has really been crazy, I'm only going to get to the gym twice that week or something, I'll make my gym time between when I'm writing. So I'll write down, 25 push-ups, or actually I put push-ups, shrugs, military, balance exercises, and I write them all down, put a little colon next to each one, and then I'll go and do 25 push-ups, write down 25. Go do military 15 times, 15 reps. And I do that, and when I get to that rep, I'm back out to another hour, just going back. And then I go, okay, it's on my list. Oh, I need to go back and take that break, and I'll do that again. That seems to help too. It's good self-care, but the problem was, I was not doing that the week prior to getting sick. I was running 100 miles an hour, trying to get everything accomplished and done. Not taking the breaks, telling Tanya, no, I can't get my workouts in right now. I'll do something in the office, and I didn't do it. And then I ended up, I normally make all of our meals, didn't make our meals, and we ate out. When I eat out, I get sick. If I eat out more, it could be that the people making the food have something, and because after fighting cancer, my immune system's a little lower, and I try to avoid eating out because of that. And so I try to make sure that I do everything in-house, and I just didn't do it. Instead of saying, I'm busy, yes, but I take care of yourself, take care of you and Tanya, and do this. I didn't do that, and I catch a cold, a horrible cold flu that was just
put you down.
Oh my gosh, it tore me up, man.
There's an old automotive commercial where it says, "Pay me now,
pay me later."
Pay me later.
It was definitely a pay me later there. And not smart.
And we always end up paying it. And my deal this way, I let myself get mentally exhausted, and then the physical suffered because of that, because I didn't take the breaks. I didn't go do and then this morning it was kind of funny. was in a fog. I didn't sleep well. And my wife was getting ready to go to work, and she says, something wrong? And I said, I just didn't sleep well. And she was like, well, don't make a big deal out of it. You gotta, and so I know what it probably sounded like after she left, but I was like, and then I had to think about it. But if I'd gotten the sleep that I needed, if I'd have done the self-care that I needed, then it wouldn't have come across to her. So when we do those things, we don't take care of ourselves, we negatively impact those around us.
Yeah, of course.
Especially the ones that we love the most, because we expect them to tolerate.
Well, Tanya knows right off the bat if I didn't have a quiet time even that day. She has known that since we've been married, that my attitude's just a little off. It's not. Yeah. She always goes, I'm the pixie dust guy in our house. That's what she kind of jokes about. Yeah. But if I have not in the Word and I haven't looked at it for that day and been in it, then apparently my attitude's just a little different than normal. Right. She goes, you're still up and all this stuff, but it's different. And she goes, hey, were you in the Word of God this morning? I went, no, I wasn't. And I go, you picked up on it. Yep. But what I did during this time of not self-care physically, not sleeping, doing that stuff, I was taking care of the grief. Okay. So at the same time, Tanya and I each morning would read a particular book. We already did our quiet times, and then I read a prayer book to her. Okay. And we were reading this Stormy O'Martin, she does a lot of those prayer books. Right. So we're reading one of her prayer books, and she goes, hey, Dave, can we read yours? Which is the Today is My Favorite Day prayer book. And I first went, I don't want to read my own book, book, yeah. We had just read Today is My Favorite Day, the actual book as one of our books, because she said she really wanted to go through it. And it actually was it pertained to us with a loss. Yeah. I looked at it as a lot of cancer, but cancer was a loss. So this was another loss. Another loss that we worked through. So the book actually worked well for me in that area, which is really interesting. Yeah. And stuff I already do, but it was good to be reminded of it. But then we started reading the prayer book. And these were 60 prayers that I did for myself some years ago, and Tanya suggested I put it in a little book so people can read them. And I took out cancer because I wrote in there, you're my serenity, and the top would say my serenity, and then I would do this prayer based off a particular scripture, and I would say in it, this is why you're my serenity, and I go through it. In the midst of my cancer, which I used to do, now it's in the midst of my loss of Rebecca. Right. And so we plug that in. It says plug in your own pain or your own hurt. And we're probably in the 7th day of this. Okay. And she just goes, this is the one I want you to read right now. Yeah. So a plug for my book. Yeah, for the prayer book. There we go. If you want a prayer book that I think would pertain to any hurt that you're going through, loss of
you're right. Anything. It does. Any loss, because you plug and play the grief or the hurt or the loss of a relationship or
any of that stuff. It was really kind of funny. I just went, wow, this is actually, it's funny. Yesterday we were looking at it going, man, this is actually really good. So we were laughing about that. So we're doing some self-care using the prayer book to work through our pain, because we're coming on a year with Rebecca soon here of our loss with her, and so there's self-care there too. And so that's kind of, it's important to look at all the different parts of our lives, and stay up with it. I didn't stay up with it with my physical side, so I got a couple of workouts in the last couple of days. I probably overdid it yesterday. That's why I end up having a lot of problems. So I really slept a lot, and then have been really watching today. So we'll see how I do. We'll see how I do.
Yeah. The self-care is so vital, guys. You just have to do the things that you should do. You have your spirituality. Now, you may be listening and you don't have the same beliefs that we do, but we are all spiritual beings, and you have to have that spiritual connection with
us. It's just Jesus, with higher power, but with Jesus Christ. And for us, that's just gigantic.
It's huge.
And also the self-care can sometimes get out of control. Working out and that kind of stuff. Yeah. One thing I did when I was in the hospital, and I can't remember if I brought this up, but I think it's in the book, maybe in another book that I'm writing right now, but at one point in the hospital, Tanya walked in with the nurse, and I was doing squats. And this was after the first surgery.
That was abdominal surgery.
Yeah,
right?
that was with the appendix surgery first. And this was in the 4-day period before I found out I had cancer.
Right.
I had an appendix burst, and they had taken that out, cleaned up. I had a lot of infection going on, so they had these tubes in me. But I got out of the bed because I didn't have to have a NG tube at that time.
Right.
So I got out of the bed and I'm doing these squats. I don't know why. I know what I was doing because I know I'm used to being in gyms.
Right.
And I didn't like sitting around. I think it was the third day. And I said, screw this. I'm getting up and I'm going to start doing some squats. And Tanya and the nurse came in and they just looked at me and said, what are you doing? Tanya actually said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Idiot, kind of a thing, that kind of look. And I said, I looked at her. She said, I looked at her and I said, I'm doing squats.
Yeah.
And she said, I looked like that was normal.
Yeah.
And she goes, and the nurse goes, get back in bed. She goes, get back. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was on influence of drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got that. I had that excuse.
You had a good excuse, right? Yeah.
But self-care, sometimes we get vigilant to a point that could hurt us.
That could hurt us. Yeah.
At one point I was in the gym every day, 7 days a week, and I was tearing my body down. And so there is a moderation, because I did not take, you could be in 7 days, but one day is more of just kind of a real relaxed day, stretching and doing stuff. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And my coaches got on me because I injured myself a couple of times doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of, now I want to put this in context for you. And this wasn't like in the last few years that Dave had this surgery. This is back when they cut you open, right? I mean, they didn't do that little.
The appendix they used that, but with the cancer, they had to take out 22 inches of my intestines. So I have a scar that's from here to here, and lots of what you call tube marks.
Tube marks.
That are. But you know what? They are scars.
They're scars. Mm-hmm.
They're not open wounds anymore.
Right.
And self-care helps us not have those open wounds in our heart. We could talk about it at a different time. But let's just encourage, we all encourage you guys, my side of it, I'll bring it up. Get your exercise, eat properly, get rest. You on the spiritual side?
On the spiritual side of it, you have got to get into the Word. You've got to get into what your beliefs are. Ours are Jesus and the Word of God. It's my favorite book. It's Dave's favorite book. And that's what brings the spirituality out and gives me, you said Tanya notices when you haven't done, my wife notices it too. And then I notice about halfway through the day. And it's like, boy, this really, I messed myself up.
Well, and also what it does is it shows us that we can have this high with Jesus.
Yes.
And when we don't take that we're still positive, walking around, but don't have the same mindset because we didn't check that mindset. So it's important stuff, guys. Self-care, take it from two guys who bozoed it around and made mistakes, had bad weeks. That's why we wanted to talk about it, because we had bad weeks. Might be honest with you guys and be able to, say, hey, it's okay. So this is it for us for today.
For today. This has been David Towner, Sam McKeown. Today is our favorite day. Live intentionally, be very, very blessed.
We're drinking the water, self-care.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Vaught. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.